Okay, so can we start? Okay, so our first question, because we have two, our first question is, in basketball, does offense or defense win the game?
In basketball, offense wins games because that's how you determine who wins the game, is who scores the most points. One of the points I have, according to Rod Brooks, who has been in the sports broadcasting industry for about 20 years, he said that the Warriors and the Cavaliers have the best offense, and they are also the best teams in the 2017 NBA.
So, even though we have 4 All-Stars, like to make a good player, they not only have to have really good offense, but they have to have really good defense, like such as Curry, Durant, and Green. Curry, Durant, and Green are one of like the 3 of the 4 All-Stars on the team, and Curry could score 28.6 points per game, and his rebounds are 5.4. And also for Green, he scores about 14.2 points per game, but he also has the rebound of 8.9 for average.
So obviously, ideally, you would want to have good defense and good offense, but the team with the good offense usually tends to win the game more than if the team has better defense, because you have to score to win.
Well, what about last year's finals? So like we had the Warriors against the Cavaliers. Warriors are known for like really good offense, but then the Cavaliers kind of stepped up their defense game with like LeBron and everyone else. So with all the blocks, I feel like that just kind of like brought in like more competitiveness and just made like a better setting. So like if they improve their defense, because that's what the Cavaliers did, they have more blocks, which led to more turnovers and more fast breaks. So that brings them like more one-on-one. So it's not like playing out a play. So it's more one-on-one. So it's like a better chance of scoring.
Like more fast breaks and stuff.
More fast breaks.
So like that is very important for the defensive team, because fast breaks do. You can make a lot of points off of those. But at the same time, if you have really good offense, you can shoot when you're being blocked and when you're guarded. And then if you also have a good offense, there won't be as many offensive turnovers.
Yeah, but when do you think, because how are you going to get the ball in the first place? You have to play defense. So you, like our coach in basketball on the JV team said, defense leads offense, the offense will come. So if you lock down, you play hard on defense, and you get turnovers and rebounds, you're going to get the ball, which then you can go down and score buckets for your team, which means offensive points.
But what if you don't have a good offense? So what's the point? Once you have a ball and you don't have a good offense, then...
And if you have an awesome defense, no team's going to score.
Yeah, but if the other team has a good offense, then they can score when they're guarded anyways. Like Curry, for example, he always finds a way to shoot.
He's the most amazing shooter in like all history so far.
Well, Michael Jordan said in 1997, following the statement after the conclusion of his three-peat in 1999, was that defense does win championships without a doubt, and that's more evident than ever. And like coming from like the best player in the NBA in history, I feel like that kind of like stands out like more. What's the word? Yeah, whatever. But it's like it stands out as more encouraging in that, like from like a person that's really experienced, that he's telling his audience something, and the audience has to believe it coming from a professional.
Yeah, I agree with that, but at the same time, defense is mostly more important when all of the teams have good offense, because it's just that extra thing that makes them stand out, and it gets them the ball more because they can shoot better. But if none of the teams have good offense and just good defense, then there's going to be no way to score.
But what if both teams have both good offense, but one has better defense? Which means, as I said earlier, more turnovers, more rebounds, more fast breaks. So that's going to be more points. So it doesn't matter if they have both good offense, because if the defense could just lead to more offense. Because the defense is the starting point to go on to offense, like Mateo said.
Let's take the 76ers in the NBA. Before the postseason started, they were in last place because they led the league in turnovers, which they averaged 16 turnovers per game. And I don't think they had that players don't have that great of an offense. And so their defense should have been better, but they're not. Like, that's why they're in last place. And the Warriors, they lead in offense, and you could say defense too, because they haven't lost in postseason yet. And these are all like the higher end teams that are playing in the playoffs right now. So I guess that you could say they're the greatest team right now because they have the greatest defense and the greatest offense. So it goes hand in hand either way.
Okay, next question. So I'm siding on Lauren with this, and this question is just like Cameron and Melina's name words. So it's should college athletes be paid?
I believe they should be paid because, let's see, they bring in so much money per year. They bring in about, or last year, I believe, that NCAA March Madness tournament brought in $784 million on TV per, like, last year. I mean, yeah, so some of these players are averaging about 30 points per game. Some of the higher end players, and you think that they should be able to get some of that money to bring into the league and to all the teams and stuff, right?
Well, what they do with the money that they get from their audience, it goes into merchandise and like, wait here, hold on. So the Rutgers University made a big purchase for like their football stadium, and it was $102 million. And so what they do to like when they like upgrade something, that's trying to get the audience in, and so to get the audience in means more money. So it doesn't mean that they're gonna pay their athletes, but like this university, they went into debt and they only got $36 million in return, like from their audience. So that kind of like puts them in debt. So either way, I feel like they won't have enough money for athletes.
Yeah, I think it also matters on the university or the college and the players that play there, because I know a lot of fans now that are like big fans of college players and they want to get their jerseys and merchandise for that player, but they don't let them because they're not supposed to like put out their name or like bring in money per that like person, you know, they can't get their jersey with their last name on it. So I feel like people like buying that college's stuff that was bringing in money to the university, but the players aren't getting anything. They're just putting in the hard work and all their time into that like sport for fans to bring to the college, and the players aren't getting anything.
But they are getting the opportunity to play at the college level with that equipment, with the training that they get, scholarships, and everything else that they have to offer. It's more for the experience, not for the money.
I mean, yeah, but they've been working at that high level for so long. Like, what do you think they had to do to get to that point in college? They have to work their butt off from like a young age. So.
What would you say in a private school? So people pay to get in there, just like they pay to get in college, or they get a scholarship. So do you think that private schools, they should have, like football and basketball are like one of the only two sports that really get an audience, like even like you could see it at our school too. So if college athletes do get paid, what about private schools? Should they get paid too?
Or are you talking about college, private schools, or just?
No, just like high school, because it doesn't like, it's just 4 more years in college of like what they, like how much they practice to get in there, even though they only stay for like maybe like 1 or 2 years. But like in like high school, private school, like let's say like Cardinal Disney, so they pay to get in there, and they have really good basketball team, and so you would think that like because they have like the same like dedication, like they're like, so we're paying to get into school, which means that we have to be really good in basketball in our sports. So like it's the same thing in college. So should the private school teams get paid?
No, I don't think they should, because they're not going to that high school to play for the sport, they're going for their education. Plus it's a private school, and so you have to pay to get in because it's not public. Like it's someone like owns a school and it's like their school, so they want people to pay to get in.
That's what college is, with education.
Well, these athletes aren't going for education, they're free education, but they're putting all their time into the sport. That's what they're going to college for, is sport. They're not going for the education, even though it's free.
So you're saying that college athletes don't really care about school, they're just going to play. So they're trying to think of it more as like a career than like their education.
Yeah, like the last debate, and he said, Allen Iverson, he said he didn't like school at all. He just loved the sport. And so like, if he gets an opportunity to play the sport, he's going to take it, like most athletes would. If they get a chance to go onto TV or play in the NBA, they're going to take that chance. Like, at that point, their education doesn't matter to them.
Then do you think that all athletes should be evenly paid? Because not all sports bring in a big crowd, so then it'll make other people unequal. So they're gonna be like looking at the football team, and they're gonna take in more money because their audience are bigger. And now let's look back at tennis. Tennis isn't gonna have a big crowd, which means less money. Players aren't gonna get paid as equally as football team.
And also the issue of the different genders in Title IX might apply to colleges that are federally funded.
Well, to be honest there, there's so many other factors that can go into that. It's a really tough decision, because it just depends on the sport, but I guess what you're saying, some sports don't bring in a lot of money that other sports do.
And even if they did even if they did pay the athletes who like football or basketball, and they do make a lot of money, what happens when the only school can't give it to them? Like, don't you think that'll cause issues?
I mean, that's why I think like for example, in the NBA, there's a salary cap per player. I mean, like, it's completely different though, because a lot of players, they get paid because of how good they do or their contracts or whatever. But in the college, there should just be like a regulation of like all players. Like, I don't think it should be like if they play more, they should get paid more. It should just be like they all get paid around the same amount, like around all sports, like a low amount, because they're still getting some income for them to be able to buy their food and, like, you know, have some extra money on the side.
But if they all got paid the same amount, like you were saying, across all sports, all genders, everything, not only would there only be a little bit to go around, plus the taxes would take even more away from that. So would there still even be a point in paying the athletes?
I mean, there would, because they still be getting money. Like right now, I don't think they're getting anything.
They're actually getting like about $5,000 a year, just for going around and well, they could choose how they want to spend it, but it's preferred to like when they travel to like stay in a hotel, like that's where their money would be put. But technically, they are sort of paid, but most athletes they keep it for themselves. So they are actually kind of paid, but not for their.
I mean, if they're paying for things like that, like their hotel and extra money on the side, they're like, like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, do you know how much they're getting paid, like per, like, is it per season or per year or season? Okay, so if they get paid $5,000 per season goes a couple months, like, I don't think that would be enough for just everything all around. Like, if they paid some of them for a hotel, to travel places, and then have some money on the side, then it won't be like, for example, like maybe like $1,000. So how are you supposed to make that last like a whole season for food and everything else?
Well, what
and
if-
your health and everything?
What if not all the athletes got that much?
What do you mean?
Like, what if maybe they increase that money that they get for the hotels? Like, let's say like football, basketball, because they bring in the bigger crowd. What if they get more money added to that? And then the badminton, tennis, volleyball, all of them don't get as much, so maybe they get like 2,000. That'll be unequal. So then how would they get more money to, like, just for that? How would they get more money from that if they're gonna be spending it on merchandise in basketball and football? How would they get more money to pay all the athletes the same?
Colleges have more events, just more like things, like, you know, fundraisers to get more money, like normal, like public schools do.
So you think it's the school's job to raise money so that they can pay their athletes?
Well, I mean, yeah, like the athletes are going to that school. And
So are doctors.
what do you mean?
Doctors go there to save lives. We all have different purposes of going to college. Maybe some people don't like English, but they still go in to get the doctor's degree.
Because they're following their passion, which is being a doctor.
But should doctors get paid too?
No,
Should the top
because-
orchestra band, or like orchestra, should they get paid?
No,
Because they're passionate about it.
But that's not the point, like, they're going there for their passion. But like doctors, they're learning, they're actually going for the education from the school. The athletes are spending time outside of school, like a job would, and they're getting paid, or they're $5,000 a year, but like, for all the time they spend, they're not getting paid anything really.
But they're working just as hard as all the students that are studying, and they're spending the same amount of time.
The athletes,
Yeah.
exactly. They have to just balance two things, sports outside of school, and then if they choose, they have to balance their school, try to get the good grades.
What about the students who have internships and 2 jobs but are also studying to be a doctor?
Well, they're getting money, they're getting paid for their job.
But they find a way to balance everything and get a job. So don't you think athletes could do the same?
I mean, yeah, but most people with a job don't get up at 5 in the morning for a workout, and then go back, go to school for a little bit, and go out for another workout, or practice or something every single day.
Yeah, but that's the athlete's choice. The NCAA tries to limit, they have regulations to limit the hours of training to about 20 hours, but they found that most athletes practice for about 40 hours a week. So if they get paid, they will most likely practice longer and more hours because they want to earn more or they want to be better. So that's taking away from their education.
Also in the sports student, the author mentions that it's 10,000 hours to like perfect something. So it's not just sports that apply to that. So it's just like being in an orchestra. He even says it in there that like to be perfect in an orchestra, you spend 10,000 hours. So does an athlete. So should the orchestra get paid too? And it's not just skill, it's talent. So should talent come before skill? Should they get paid for it?
Well, I mean, I'm going out on the limb here, I've never seen a professional orchestra player.
No, because they're not advertised.
I've never seen them, so I don't really have anything for that, because I didn't know anything about that.
So should those kind of things get advertised just as much as sports? Colleges are for the same thing, so it's already kind of unequal. Because sports are being advertised on TV for their college, but is an orchestra advertised on TV?
It's all about money, that's all it is. Keep the colleges put what the viewers want to see, they want to see the sports. I know it might seem bad that people don't want to see like these other sports, but it's all about the money. Whatever brings in the most money is what the colleges are on TV.
Do you think that's unequal?
I believe it is, but that's just how it's going to be for a while until something gets a big change.
Is that what you would say a college athlete got paid?
I mean, yeah, I still would, but I mean, this is to start to being equal.
So how would colleges get even more money to pay for everyone else, like all the orchestras?
Like I said earlier, they can have their own fundraisers and they can put out their own advertisements for them to be able to have people to come and watch them and do what they do.
Do you know any other organizations do that?
Like other colleges or
Just other organizations and colleges?
I don't know, but I'm just giving out an example of what they should try to do.
So you don't think they're already doing that so that they can have enough money to pay the athletes with scholarship?
I think they are trying that, it just hasn't reached everybody yet. They've only reached certain people that they've gone to.
So you think it's more important that an athlete gets a salary than a scholarship?
For an athlete, well, I mean, a scholarship from high school goes to college. I don't think they can go anywhere from there and go to the NBA, and then they go out of college and then they're on their own.
But that's if they
Make it
make
good.
the NBA.
Yeah, but if they don't make it to NBA, they have to worry about other stuff, finding jobs and stuff.
So
So it
it would
just
be
goes-
nice if they had an education to fall back on.
Exactly. It matters on how much time they're putting in. That's what the coaches want from the school. They want them to spend all their time in the sport, but they don't realize that they're needing an education too.
I think we're going on for 2 minutes.
Are we done?
Feel like 20.